Welcome students. Today we are going to discuss about urine formation. Urine formation. In the previous sessions, we discussed about structure of nephron, types of nephron, and internal external structure of kidneys. And after that, our next topic, urine formation. In the urine formation, it involves the in the three steps. First one, ultrafiltration. The first step in the urine formation is the ultrafiltration. The second step in the urine formation, selective reabsorption. Selective reabsorption. The third step in the urine formation, tubular secretion. Tubular secretion. Urea is a major nitrogenous waste material which is produced in our liver by the ornithine cycle. Through the ornithine cycle, which is also known as Krebs-Hanselat cycle, through this cycle with the urea which is produced in our liver, from the liver to through which reached into our bloodstream, from the bloodstream which reached into our kidneys, through the kidneys, with all the steps which will be separated and we can excrete the urea. Okay, yes. So after that, let's see a clear discussion of the urine formation. In the urine formation, see, for example, see, this is our efferent arteriole. This efferent arteriole, we know that, which is splits into glomerulus. This is our glomerulus. This is our glomerulus. Okay, and from here to, yes, this is our efferent arteriole. This is our efferent arteriole. See here, this is our Bowman's capsule. This is our Bowman's capsule. Let's see the urine formation here. The first thing, ultrafiltration. Ultrafiltration means, which is also known as glomerular filtration, means the filtration of blood, from the glomerulus to lumens of the Bowman's capsule. Okay, so which all happens through the minute pores. That's why this process is known as ultrafiltration. Listen carefully here. The ultrafiltration or glomerular filtration means the filtration of blood which moves from the glomerular to and into the lumen of the Bowman's capsule. See, this is our Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule. Yes. So this process is known as ultrafiltration and or glomerular filtration. So this is the first step. See the second step, selective reabsorption, which means from it is continued as a, so this is a PCT and loop of Henle and DCT, all these things. Now the next portions of after the Bowman's capsule. See here, in this lumen, from this lumen to the selectively majorly from the PCT portion, the reabsorption means from the filtration to all the usable substances which is enter into our blood capillaries, or which is enter into our bloodstream, which means again from the filtration to useful substances which is enter into our bloodstream. That is the selective reabsorption. Okay, and last one, this is the tubular secretion. Tubular secretion means very important here. The waste materials from our blood to which is directly enter into the lumen of the nephron. Here these excretory materials or waste materials which is directly entered from the blood to lumen of the nephron, which is not happens by the filtration. So okay, this is the tubular secretion. Let's see the in detail of the ultrafiltration. See the ultrafiltration, we know that, which is also known as glomerular filtration. In the it's also known as glomerular filtration. In the glomerular filtration, and this process, it is completely passive process. Which means non-energy consuming process. Non-energy consuming means for the ultrafiltration purpose, it doesn't require any energy, which means non-energy consuming, and which is also known as passive process. Let's see the ultrafiltration diagram. So this is our efferent arteriole. This efferent arteriole, which is splits into very tiny tough capillaries, which is known as glomerulus. Yes. So this is our efferent arteriole. This is our glomerulus. This is our efferent arteriole. Okay, right. So in the ultrafiltration, which is overlapped by the Bowman's capsule. Yes. First, this ultrafiltration process, which is done by the pressure gradients. So all this ultrafiltration which is affected by the some pressures. So let's see the one by one. First, glomerulus blood pressure. Glomerular blood pressure. So means here we can, how we can identify the blood pressure, how we can define the blood pressure. Here means the blood pressure means the pressure which is exerted by the blood on the walls of the blood vessels. That is the blood pressure. We can measure with the millimeter of mercury. Okay, so here in the glomerular blood pressure, the blood in the blood capillaries, or this is a Bowman's capsule. Sorry, this is the glomerulus. In the glomerulus, in the capillaries of the glomerulus, the blood pressure which is exerted by the blood on the walls of the capillary, that is known as glomerular blood pressure, which is nearly 60 millimeter of mercury, 60 mm mercury. Okay, and second pressure, colloidal osmotic blood pressure. See, so means it is exerted by the non-filtrate plasma proteins, which is exerted by the non-filtrate plasma proteins in the blood. So which is this colloidal osmotic pressure, which works opposite to the glomerular blood pressure. So that's why I denoted, or I indicated this with minus. This is nearly 32 millimeter of mercury. Okay, and last pressure, that is the capsular hydrostatic pressure is the CHP, capsular hydrostatic pressure. So means this is the Bowman's capsule. The Bowman's capsule, the filtrate, it is present in the lumen of the Bowman's capsule. So in this Bowman capsule, due to the presence of these filtrate, which produce the pressure from the two sides. So this pressure on the Bowman's capsule, this pressure is known as capsular hydrostatic pressure. This is also works against the glomerular blood pressure. That's why this is also denoted with minus or negative. So it is nearly 18 millimeter of mercury. Okay. So let's see the again glomerular blood pressure. So here this is a glomerulus A2 exerted pressure on the blood capsule. It is a nearly 60 mmHg. So due to presence of the some large plasma proteins such as albumin like proteins, so they are non-filtrate plasma proteins. Due to that, they exerted the pressure against to the glomerular blood pressure. So this colloidal osmotic blood pressure, which is works against or negative to the GB. Okay, and this is all the pressures which affect the ultrafiltration or glomerular filtration. Okay, right. And the next is a passive process. Means for the ultrafiltration purpose, it doesn't require any energy. That's why it is a non-energy consuming process, which also known as passive process. And here the filtration occurs through the three membranes. These three membranes. So the first membrane, which is endothelial layer of the glomerulus, and basement membrane, and this is a basement membrane, and podocytes in the Bowman's capsule, the inner layer of the epithelial layer. So with these three layers which form the filtration membrane. So through the filtration membrane with the minute pores of the slit pores and fenestrations, from the filtration of the blood which is enter into the Bowman's capsule. So now this fluid, it is hypotonic. This is a hypotonic to cortical fluid, which is hypotonic to the cortical fluid. Okay, now this fluid, which is termed as a filtrate or primary urine. Okay, and also we have to note down some more details of the ultrafiltration. Very interestingly, nearly 1/5 of the cardiac output, means how much of blood which is enter into our kidneys, our two kidneys for a minute. So I can denote it with the renal blood flow, RBF, renal blood flow. Renal blood flow means how much of blood which is entered into our two kidneys. Okay, that is the RBF. So it is nearly 25% of cardiac output. So we know that cardiac output. In the cardiac output, it is the stroke volume into number of heartbeat rates. So we know stroke volume, the volume of blood which is pumped out by our ventricles in each cardiac cycle. Okay, or each cardiac cycle, that is a stroke volume. Stroke volume nearly 70 in each beat. Okay, that is the stroke value. It's a 70 ml. Number of heartbeats 72. So which is nearly 5 liters. So what is the cardiac output? It is nearly 5 liters. So the 25% of cardiac output, that means it is nearly 25% of 5 liters, means in the 5 liters the 25%, that means nearly 1250 ml. So the 1250 ml per minute. Okay, this amount of this volume of blood which is enter into our two kidneys for a minute for the filtration purpose. Okay, this is a renal blood flow. And the next one, renal plasma flow. Renal plasma flow. We know that in our blood, which consists of 45% of blood cells, 55% of plasma. So in our blood, the only 55% of plasma which is responsible for the filtration purpose. Why? Because blood cell cannot filtrate by our glomerulus. So that's why renal plasma flow is, it is the 55% of RBF, renal blood flow. So we know that what is the amount of renal RBF? 1250. So in the 1250, 55%. That means nearly 650 ml. So 650 ml of plasma which is enter into our glomerulus. Okay, right. So after that, one more thing here. Glomerular GFR. Next, with the help of the RPF, we can find the GFR. See here. This is a glomerular filtration rate. How we can define the GFR, glomerular filtration rate? Means the amount of filtrate which is produced or formed by our both kidneys in a minute. That is GFR. So the GFR is just 125 ml, which means GFR, it is a 20% of RPF, renal plasma flow. So we know that RPF value is 650. So 20% of 650. So approximately 125 ml. So which means, see here the diagrammatic representation here. This is a efferent arteriole which is splits into glomerulus. This is a efferent arteriole. Okay, let's see here. Right, see here. Here 1250 ml of renal blood flow which is enter into our glomerulus. But in the 1250 ml only how much of plasma? So nearly only 650 ml of plasma which is only responsible for the filtration. Why? Because in the 1250 remaining the 45%, that is, it is present in the form of a blood cell. That's why it is not the filtrate. So only 55% will be filtrate. That is amount nearly 650 ml. In the 650 ml, the only 125 ml, which means the 20% only. The 25% means it is 125 ml. This amount of primary urine or filtrate which is only filtration occurs in two kidneys. So this is the 125 ml. So remaining 40% which is move like this through the efferent arteriole. Okay, so if we calculate the 125 ml, so for 125 milliliters per minute, 7.5 per hour, 180 per day. Do we excrete this huge amount of urine? No. 180 liters are produced in our day, produced in our kidneys for a day, but only 1% of urine we can excrete, which means 1 liter to 1.5 liters for a day. What about the remaining 99%? The remaining 99% of urine or primary urine or filtrate, which is going to back, which moves back to our blood. That process is known as reabsorption. That is the second step. Okay, so in the next session we'll discuss about the how the remain 99% of primary urine which is enter into our blood. And okay, so this is all the urine formation. In the urine formation, this is the complete details of the ultrafiltration. In the next session we'll discuss about the tubular selective reabsorption and tubular secretion. Thank you.